How's it going, guys? Today I am making a video on Optimus. Now, I never made a video on him, and truth be told, I'm going to say this right now so that people don't think I just hate him. I actually very much so enjoy his videos. I think they're actually really funny, and usually niggas spitting straight facts. I'm not even going to lie. But today, this video is insane and extremely unfair to the person in the video. Because the entire time he's misrepresenting and at some point straight up gets what the other person said completely wrong. To the point where, like, I feel like he came into the video with an agenda and was just looking at it through the eyes of, this is what I think the person is trying to say. So anything they say, I'm going to take it as that. So, I'm going to explain it, and I doubt Optimus is ever going to watch this video, but in case you do, I just want you to know, I don't dislike your videos. I just think you were insanely unfair to this person. So I'm going to go through this tweet because he's responding to a very specific tweet for this entire video. And the first section of the tweet, basically the girl is saying, I'm not a huge fan of guys crying. I feel like society has gone from guys should never cry to now it doesn't even matter if a guy cries, and that has nothing to do with attractiveness. Which I kind of agree, but I also disagree. And she says that she disagrees. She feels like people can cry, but only, not all the time. And she says, I find it unattractive if someone cries, in the early days of a relationship, unless, of course, something traumatic happens, like if we're on the Titanic. She literally says, unless something traumatic happens, like we're on the Titanic. And this is what Optimus has to say to that statement, because this is the one situation that he completely gets it wrong, that's not at all what she said. And I want you to hear it because he uses this point throughout the entire video and repeats it over and over again, despite the fact that he misread her tweet. She also says in this section that sometimes a guy crying would actually make things better. Like when she says that she feels like it would have no effect on her or bring them closer, which would be during a funeral, during an injury, during a loss, financial or otherwise, periods of high stress. These are things that some women would even say during these situations, crying isn't okay. But this girl is actually taking a more liberal stance and saying, yes, I understand that you should cry when you're feeling loss. I understand that you should cry when you lose something precious to you, or when you're insanely hurt, or when someone dies. She's saying during these situations, I wouldn't mind it, and if anything, it might even bring us closer together. So the entire mindset that Optimus is bringing to this is just already really messed up, because she's already saying off rip, during these situations, it's 100% understandable to cry, and I even expect you to cry.
Times. All right, so there's plenty to break down here. First off, you apparently would be turned off if a man cried when you were on the Titanic with him. So obviously, 80% of the people on the Titanic just straight up fucking died, right? It was the end. They fucking sunk with the ship into the freezing water, froze to death, or died from some other form of injury, killed themselves, whatever it may be. But apparently, if something traumatic like that happened, it's a turnoff, because it would fucking matter, right? If you were turned off emotionally that a man was crying while you're all about to fucking die in the waters of the Atlantic Ocean. But apparently it would have no effect if he cried when he was injured. So, if he, I don't know, hammered his fucking finger comedically like a cartoon with, on his thumb, that would be cool, bro. Cry all you want at that point. Or, if you lose $100 at the mall out of your wallet, cry, bro. But if you're literally about to fucking die freezing to death in the waters on the Titanic, you better not cry, because this bitch might not give you no pussy, bro. If you're in the mall and someone comes in and starts fucking killing everybody, you better not start crying and praying to God, bro, because as a man, you're expected to fucking stand up and fucking give your life and have no qualm over that. Which, by the way, I think is a completely mentally psychotic mentality, and I'm actually stunned that was ever actually a thing in society. But so the whole...
This is what's so insane about him, because he is going in hard in the paint on this very, very specific thing of her saying, if you were on the Titanic, I would understand. I wouldn't understand if you cried. But that isn't what she said. You think if you're Optimus, you would take a second during your process of making your video and be like, wait, my information is wrong. And the thing that I've been saying throughout 99% of this video is completely incorrect. Maybe I should not upload this video or remake the video and just go over the other points that I have. Because the way he talks about it, it sounds like this is his strongest point, but it's completely false.
Whole situation doesn't make sense. First and foremost, no one gives a fuck what she finds attractive, right? I'm gonna assume she doesn't have a boyfriend because people who are in relationships don't talk like this. And second off, she's a fucking random on Twitter, right? Like, I don't know why she thinks that what she deems attractive is important to literally anybody but her. The only reason it's important to me at this point is because I'm getting a free piece of content out of it, so.
This section gets me kind of mad. He starts like almost bullying her for her just stating her opinion. Like, she just wants to know what everyone thinks about it. She's like, oh, I bet she doesn't even have a boyfriend because no one talks like this if they have a boyfriend. First of all, yeah, she doesn't have a boyfriend. She's saying what she does and doesn't find attractive. Or maybe she does have a boyfriend and is just trying to exemplify why she likes her boyfriend so much because he matches these parameters. And like, he's saying like, why does she feel like her opinion matters if she's just some random on Twitter? What are you talking about? Twitter is a space where you just say what you're thinking, what you want to say, and you put it out there and see if anyone agrees with you or if anyone is interested in what you have to say or think about. I don't understand what the problem is here. If I randomly thought, man, isn't it so weird that poop sometime comes out green? I would post that on Twitter because that's what the platform is for. It's for just whatever you think about a subject or whatever you're thinking about off rip. You post it and you see what other people think about. I feel like he doesn't understand the purpose of social media in this regard. I agree that a man should be able to cry at any time that a woman should be allowed to cry. I believe that anyone can cry at any moment because that is just how emotions work. You can't control them. They just do what they want. But she's not saying a man can't cry. She's saying that a man crying is a little unattractive and that she wouldn't be a fan of a man that cries all the time. I wouldn't be a fan of a woman that cries all the time as well. If I was dating someone and they cried over literally everything, they stubbed their toe, they cry. They slightly burned the toast, they cry. They fucking
there is no times where it's warranted and unwarranted.
They
for a
fucking
man
went to
cry.
go take a
If
shower
it's
and they
for
got a
someone
little
to
bit of
show
soap
emotion
in their
during that
eyes and they're
time period,
fucking
it's acceptable for a
crying
man
on
to
the
do it. If a
bathroom
woman's
floor for
allowed
the
to
next
cry,
20
a man's
fucking
allowed to
minutes.
cry. It's that fucking
That
simple.
would be a bit upsetting. I wouldn't like that. But that's not what she's saying. Now, she is saying that she would not like that, but I don't think that that's like a toxic thing or that's like unfair to want from a partner. Like, people need to understand the difference between a preference and unfair. If you just prefer someone who doesn't cry that much, that is just a preference. You can like that. It's not like they're saying men shouldn't do this and that all men who do this are trash fires. The person, you'll see later on in the tweet, the person literally says like, yo, I'm not saying that no one should do this. I'm just saying I prefer when men don't.
Clear, I'm speculating, and these are specific to me, not instructions or rules for when it's okay for men to cry, okay? I imagine this highly variable depending on the person and relationship, but I am skeptical of any woman who says it doesn't affect attractiveness. Is this just social conditioning, something to be deconstructed, something I need to get comfy with and eventually it will go away? I don't think so. I think that there are deep and valid evolutionary reasons for this. Women are biologically wired to cry more than men. I should be able to trust a male partner's level-headedness in joint decisions when I'm beside myself with grief, pregnant, in labor, sleep deprived, sick, etc. This is very attractive in a male partner. I don't
See, here she says the point that I literally just said, that she's saying things that are specifically to her. This is not instructions or rules. She's saying that when it comes to her and her relationships, this is what she prefers. Then she starts saying some things that I disagree with, that women are biologically made to like cry more, which I think is partially true. Women are generally weaker. They take pain more, and although they're better at handling extreme pain, they aren't as good at handling smaller pain. So, that, like, I guess kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it's a little, I can't really get behind that part. But that isn't like, oh my god, you're so stupid, shut the fuck up, dirty woman.
Bro's not allowed to cry and be fucking upset, during the fucking Titanic when he's about to literally face impending death, but he's expected to suddenly be level-headed and comfortable when you're in grief or pregnancy or in labor. Apparently, if a man's about to have a child, he can't be emotional about that, bro. Like, if you're about to have a fucking child, you can't cry in the waiting room or right there at the table. I think that's stupid.
Here's another thing. First of all, he just brought up the Titanic thing again, a thing that he got fudging wrong. But not only that, he then goes on to say that, oh, so a man's not allowed to cry when they're about to have a child. And yes, a man can cry because they're allowed to have a child, but the woman is literally giving birth. I'm not saying the man can't be emotional, but in that situation, the man has to be a man, not in the, toxic masculinity way, in the way of a man needs to hold his emotions in, because the woman is literally in excruciating pain popping out a child. You should be able to be there and at the very least put on a strong face for her so that she at least thinks everything's going to be okay. Because when you're in that situation, you're literally having your body ripped open while something comes out of you. You would want something to be there to like help ground you in the world and help let you know that things are going to be all right.
It always comes back to, you can never expect this same sort of mentality out of women, right? Like, this woman will duck accountability like the fucking plague, right? If you tell her, like, yeah, I really value a woman's level-headedness. I like it when women aren't overly emotional or fucking crying about everything or being upset. All of a sudden, you're a misogynistic piece of shit, right? You're a fucking virgin incel on the internet. But, when a woman has the same fucking take, the same dog shit opinion, it's completely acceptable, Well, we're biologically wired to be this way, man, so it's okay. It's fucking stupid, and...
See, I doubt that this is true. Based on what she's saying, if you were to say to her that you value a woman who's level-headed and who doesn't cry and this, that, and the fourth, I bet that she would say something along the lines of like, okay, but that's not really what I like. You clearly want a specific type of woman. I clearly want a specific type of woman. Maybe she might get a little upset if you're saying it as rude and inconsiderately as Optimus is saying it here. But I doubt that she would be like, oh my god, you're a misogynist. You just want women to be beneath you. Da-da-da-da. You think women should be subservient. No. She'd probably be a little bit like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's okay, but I don't want that. That's not what I want in a man. She's literally just saying her preferences. I don't get... This is a new thing, by the way. I've never noticed this until like 2018. Where suddenly preferences are not allowed. You can't want a certain thing out of a partner, because wanting a certain thing out of a partner suddenly means that everyone needs to follow this rule.
I just don't understand why society will clown men for having dog shit takes like this, but when women do it, people don't call them femcels or get upset and fucking say stupid shit like that, right? Maybe you could be more level-headed, right? It never comes down to that argument. How can I be better as a person? It's about, well, this person's not being attractive because they have emotions.
This whole section, she kind of goes way off of the deep end to the point where, like, it's actually kind of weird. Like, she clearly at this point is caring a little bit too much about how men feel, where she's like, yo, if you're crying when I wouldn't, you're weak. I don't want to have to be the emotionally strong one in this situation because I have estrogen. Like, men also have estrogen. So this is a bit ridiculous, but once again, she's not saying all men need to be this way. She's saying this is what she prefers. So although I disagree and I think it's kind of stupid, I don't think she's being 100% unreasonable. And she just needs to find a man that wants to be more masculine and would in turn not show emotions as easily as she would want.
Conversely, if a male partner cries in a situation where I think I wouldn't cry, I sense that he is not dependable in a crisis and I will be in charge of making decisions for both of us. Since I have higher estrogen levels, this asks me to exert a tremendous amount of restraint. It basically tells me that he's going to hoard the emotional space that I need in order to be embodied. Yes, this is a turnoff. I'm trying to be careful with my wording, but I suspect some people will think I'm just stuck in harmful trad values, perpetuating toxic masculinity, etc. So let me say it loud and clear. Men should cry. Many men should cry more and more often. There are many instances where I would expect and appreciate a display of man's grief in the form of tears and even sobbing from a man. Except if you're fucking dying in the Titanic, or unless you're in fucking 9/11, you're in the plane about to hit the tower, don't cry then, bro. But if you lost a fucking wallet at the mall, once again, bro, you're free to cry. Go ahead.
Here we go again. I know I'm like nitpicking on this a lot, but it's because he brings it up so many times. How can you bring up this and make it pretty much the strongest part of your argument and not double check that what you're saying is even true? It's so insane to me. It would be like if I read a news article about like a shooting that happened and I read a section that was like, the kids pulled out the gun first, and then was just going on. I mean, I read the section, and to me, I thought it said the kids pulled out the gun first, when in reality, it said the school shooter pulled out the gun first. And then I just kept bringing that up throughout the rest of the news. It's like, what are you talking about? That's such an important section. You should read that extremely carefully, especially if you're going to use it over and over again in your argument.
You know, you're talking about being dependable in a crisis. I would imagine off of your mental fucking state that you're not dependable for anything. It doesn't matter about the crisis. First and foremost, you know, you don't understand anything about emotion, okay? And you have these stupid fucking takes that really do perpetuate toxic masculinity, even though you want to try and act like you're not. If you can't understand that men have basic emotional needs, you're the last person that I would want to trust in any sort of emotional situation. You're the one who lacks the emotional intelligence, not a guy crying because he's about to fucking face some sort of mental catastrophe, right?
I hate this section so much because for such a smart guy, for such a level-headed person, usually he sounds like a child right now. This sounds like the no you argument. Like, no, you're a fudging emotional child. No, you're not able to understand your emotions. No, you. What the fuck? Like, he sounds like he's 5. And, like, I've never seen this from him before. I've seen him cover other things where he sounds extremely level-headed and everything that he says is 100% correct. But right here, he sounds so ridiculous because he's not reading it correctly. He's not reading the tweet. He's looking at the general concept of the tweet and going, oh, this is an SJW who wouldn't look at a man that cries. Ew, disgusting. And she's trying to pretend like she cares about men? How ridiculous. I'm not going to show you the rest of this video because honestly, he just spends the next like 2 minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes, almost 4 minutes, just basically saying a whole bunch of things that are kind of true, but not about this lady. Only based off the tweet. I don't know what this person's like in person. I don't know if she tweets a lot of other things that are like extremely stupid. But at least based off of just this tweet, none of the things that he says for the rest of this video are correct. He starts talking about like people who will want X and X from men, but then are the complete opposite themselves, this, that, and the fourth. And that's understandable. But based off this tweet, that doesn't sound like her at all. She just sounds like a normal person that likes men who don't cry that often. And it feels like Optimus is just pulling shit out of his ass right now. And I don't want to say that because I like his content, usually. And honestly, I'm about to look up whatever mod that he's playing on right now because it looks really fun and I want to play it. But I can't stand this video. I can't stand his arguments right now. And I'm insanely confused. I'm insanely confused on how he can make the video, record the audio, record the gameplay, find the tweet, screenshot the tweet, intersperse the tweet throughout his video, and at no point reread the tweet to make sure what he's saying actually makes any goddamn sense. So that's all I have for you guys. I don't know how long this video is. I feel like I'm pushing on 20 minutes, which is insane to think about because I feel like I've only been recording for 5. So I guess we'll see. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll catch you guys later.